Welcome back to Meg's Mysteries. This is Sadie's story. Oh, hi there. Let me introduce myself. I'm Sadie. Are you okay? You look as white as a sheet. You look like you saw a ghost. I know I shouldn't be here, but I just can't leave. I know you. Your name is Sam Speed, right? You worked for my old boss, Paulie Rizzo. You were a number runner for him, and I used to see you when you used to drop off payments and food in the back room of the speakeasy. I also saw you with your uncle in the front of the cigar store. He was a cover for the family's backroom activities. I see you're boarding up the place. I can't blame you after the massacre. The end of the good times. I was glad you weren't here for that one. Let me fill you in on what happened that night. It was time of prohibition, 1921. It was a busy Friday night. The place was packed with regulars. The tables and the bars were full. All were having a great time. I was greeting everybody as a good manager does. The boss and his crew were all in the back room playing cards. My boyfriend Frankie was watching out for the boss with the rest of the crew. I was getting ready for my set, and the piano player was introducing me. Here's Sexy Sadie. I was about to start my set when the doors burst open. It was a raid. People were screaming and trying to leave, but the coppers had us all surrounded. Even in the back, they had cops to stop anyone from leaving. My boss and his crew tried to get out the back, but bullets stopped them. They were all killed. The cops even started shooting up the place. Some customers got out, but I saw the piano player Hank go down. Then I felt a burning sensation in my chest, and I fell on the stage. I saw the cop who shot me, but I knew him. He wasn't a cop. He was from a rival family who wanted to take over the territory. He was only dressed as a cop. They came to kill the Rizzo family right in their own place. I also saw some real cops with them. They were on the mob's payroll, crooked cops. Then they all left. Only the dead and dying bodies were left, and I was one of them, left to die. Then a young cop, your brother Pat, came in. He was on patrol and he heard the shots. I knew him. This was his area to patrol, and he was always nice to me. He came in after the killers left. He saw me on the stage and he tried to help me. He held me in his arms and I died. So you see now, I'm a ghost and I need to stay here. So do your job and board up the speakeasy. But I'll be here. There must be a reason. Maybe there's still work for me to do. It's okay. I always loved the place. I can maybe help out with some information and give it to the good cops to find our murderers. Maybe you can tell your brother Pat and he can stop them from taking over. I know he's one of the good guys. But tell him to watch his back. There's a lot of crooked cops working at that station, and the mob has a lot of them in their pocket. Years later, we never had enough info for the cops to stop the killers. The bad cops covered it all up. But I'm still here. I must have a reason for staying. Maybe I can help someone else if they need me. So that's how I met Sam Spade Sr. He now owns the cigar store and he lives in the upstairs apartment. Sam is a great landlord and I don't have to pay anything for rent. I stay in the back and sometimes visit him up front in the cigar store. He has a wonderful family and I look out for them. His grandson and namesake, little Sammy, comes to visit all the time with his mom and dad. I keep out of sight for now until I'm needed in the future. I'll be seeing you, but you won't be seeing me, only if I let you. Sexy Sadie, standing by until further notice. Keep a lookout for more of my adventures. There'll be plenty of them. That's the end for now. Stay tuned for part 2. Welcome back to Meg's Mysteries. Here's part 2 of Sadie's story, Ghostly Connection. Hi, Sadie back. Here's the story how Sam Spade Jr. and I got connected. It was 1950. He was about 7 years old. He was living here in the upstairs apartment over his pop's cigar store. He and his father moved in with his pop after his mom died in a hit-and-run accident. Pop helped raise him, and it was just the guys. One day after school, he ran into the store. His pop and his old buddies were chewing the fat about the old days. One of Pop's friends, Benny, asked him to go to the newsstand and get him a paper. Gave him a quarter and said, "Get some candy or soda pop for yourself." It was a safe neighborhood then. A little kid can go anywhere. When he got back, Pop asked him to go to the storeroom to get something. The big box on the shelf. As he took the box down, he noticed behind the shelf a doorknob that he never noticed before. He gave Pop the box and went back to investigate. You know how curious little kids can be. No one noticed that he was gone, so he slipped into the room. He was so small he could squeeze in between the shelf and the door, and then he opened the door. Wow, this was a big room behind the door, all dusty and full of cobwebs. Tables, chairs, a bar, an old piano, and a small stage. This was great. It'll make a swell clubhouse. He knew he shouldn't be in here, but he just couldn't help himself. He wondered if Pop knew that if it was there. He looked all around, and it looked like everyone just left. There were still dusty glasses on the table. Then he started playing bartender to imaginary customers. That's when he noticed the shiny object on the floor behind the bar. It was a lady's purse. I said, "Oh, thank you, you found it. I've been looking for that for years." Sammy looked up and saw a lady dressed in old clothes. He never saw them before. It looked like something from the 20s. He said, "Hi, I'm Sammy, and here's your purse," and he handed it to me. I said, "Hi, buddy, I'm Sadie." We talked like old friends, and he told me all about himself. He lived upstairs with his pop and his dad. I said, "Only you guys?" He said, "Yeah, my mom died when I was about 3. We were crossing the street and a speeding car killed her. She pushed me out of the way and I was struck, but I got hurt, but she died. No one ever found the driver. That's when we came here to live with Pop." I said, "I remember that. I saw that from the window in the storeroom, up front where the cigar store is. I'm sorry, you were such a little guy. But you gotta know your mom's okay. I talked to her, and she told me all about you." He thought that was weird. That's when we heard his pop calling for him. He told me, "I have to go now, but I'll come back if I can later." I said, "Come back any time. I'm always here. It's great to finally talk to someone." This is how I met my new friend. Pop said to him, "Oh, Sammy, there you are. Where did you get to? You're all dusty and there's cobwebs on your head. I heard you talking to someone." He could never lie to his pop, so he told him what he found, the old room behind the door in the storeroom. Pop said, "Oh, you found it?" He wasn't mad at all. All he did was say, "It looked really old, Pop." And then he told him about me. Pop looked shocked. He said, "Maybe you saw a poster. There's one back there hanging by the stage. It says, 'Sexy Sadie sings tonight, here at Joe's Speakeasy.'" Sammy said, "No, Pop. I didn't see a poster. I was talking to a real lady named Sadie. His pop laughed. Boy, do you have an imagination. Sammy says, no, this is what we were talking about. And then his pop believed him. He also said, I'll tell you Sadie's story, only what I know about it. It was in the 1920s, and I was a very young man, only about 19, when it happened. It was a time of prohibition, and this used to be a speakeasy behind the storefront. The mob owned it. Sammy knew about the mob. They used to watch TV old gangster movies together, so he knew of that time. He also knew that Pop's old buddies would talk about their old memories. He was fascinated with their old stories. Pop told him Sadie was a singer and a manager for the mob. The speakeasy was illegal, but so many people came to drink and listen to good music and dance. There was even some gambling here. One night there was a raid, and many people were shot. Sadie was one of them. A rival gang dressed up like cops, and they shot up the place. Uncle Patty was a young cop on the beat, and he was called in to investigate. He saw Sadie before she died right on the stage, and she died in his arms. Sammy said, no, she was here. I was just talking to her. Pop said, I used to think I saw someone walking around once in a while and hanging around down here. But I thought maybe I was just seeing things. Now I know different. Sam asked, can I still play back there? So his pop said, go ahead, but don't tell your dad. It'll be our secret. So that's how we met. And we're still together 25 years later. And we're best friends. I'm the silent partner. Now we opened up a private eye firm called S&S Investigations. And with my special ghostly connections, we solve crimes no one else can take. Check out some of our more interesting cases. More to come. Part 2, our first case, S&S Investigations. Coming back soon.